Hello and welcome back to Moonlit Journal. Today I will be sharing with you my everyday carry pocket notebook. This is a long overdue video, but honestly I wanted to give it a few months before even speaking about this because this is something entirely new to my system. And I can't believe it's taken me so long to incorporate a pocket notebook into my daily life. Maybe we could start there. I'd like to go over why I decided to introduce a pocket notebook into my life in the first place. First and foremost, the biggest reason for me was to nurture more mindfulness. I found that there are so many moments when we're out and about where we just have to wait. We have to stand in line, we have to wait in our cars, we have to sit in a waiting room. And those are all opportunities to reflect, document ideas, or just be present. Be still, be present, and be aware of our surroundings. And instead, what I had always found myself doing is immediately taking out my phone and scrolling, going on Reddit, going on YouTube, looking at work Slacks or emails, and I just had enough of that. I get enough screen time at home, but when I'm outside, when I'm interacting with the world, that is not a time when I want to be looking at a screen. That's a time where I want to be noticing what's around me or noticing my thoughts. And so that's really why I wanted a notebook that was small and portable that I could keep with me at all times, particularly when I'm outside, so that I have not only a space for me to jot down observations or thoughts, but it's also this object that kind of inspires me to return to the analog when I'm bored or when I'm trying to fill space or time. It's a reminder to me now that I have this, that I don't have to open up my phone anymore. I can open up this. And even if I have nothing to write, somehow it just acts as a reminder to me that I have a choice in not reaching for my phone, if that makes sense. So that was the first reason, and honestly the biggest reason why I wanted a pocket notebook. But the other one was just more practical in nature. I found that a lot of the time when I'm out, there are little things that I need to remember later on or reference. And often by the time I got home, I would have already forgotten what I wanted to document, if that makes sense. So I needed something really handy that was always with me that I could use as like a catch-all notebook, a place for me to take scratch notes or jot down quick lists or maybe reminders. And that was a huge gap in my life prior to this. I would either write things in my notes app in my phone, but then I'd forget to reference my notes app. So either those thoughts would just get lost or I would never reference them again. But I knew physically writing something down always helps me remember better, and I retain the information a lot better when I'm physically writing versus typing on my phone. So that was another big reason why I knew I needed this. Really, it was those two things: to inspire more mindfulness and attentiveness to the world around me, to my own thoughts, rather than filling the space with my phone. And as a practical solution to note-taking, list-making, scratch notes, all of that. Now, let's actually get into what my system is. What is this notebook? I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with this. This is a Passport Traveler's Notebook from the Traveler's Company. They have 5 different colorways technically now, one of them being red, but that's not part of their permanent collection right now. It's a limited edition. But the other 4 colors are black, camel, dark brown, and olive. Oh, and they have blue actually. So they do have 5 permanent colors, and then the 6th one would be the limited edition red. Anyway, I chose the black. You can see the branding on the back here. And Traveler's Company is a Japanese brand that I just adore. I chose the black because I have always heard that this one doesn't show signs of wear as quickly or as easily as the other colors. And I'm someone who really doesn't like the look of scratches on my notebooks. I love when the leather patinas, but I don't like scratch marks. It bothers me for some reason. And I know that it's a huge pro for a lot of people. They love seeing the scratch marks on travelers' notebooks, but it just kind of hurts my brain personally. And so I knew I wanted a cover that would still age and soften and become kind of buttery over time, but not necessarily show obvious scratch marks. The other reason I got black was just because I didn't have that colorway yet from Traveler's Company. I have regular sized Traveler's notebooks, which are like probably this big in comparison. And I have one in olive, I have a camel, and I have a dark brown. So black was something I still had not tried out from the brand, and I'm someone who loves black in general, so I knew I wanted to get a black. My charm on here is the Yosegi charm. This is also by Traveler's Company, and I just absolutely love this woodworking technique. It's a traditional Japanese woodworking technique, and I think it's beautiful. And I really like that this is in the shape of a house. I felt like it symbolized what this book stood for. It's kind of my everything catch-all notebook, and a lot of my life is going to be captured in here. So I like that it's kind of a little home in itself. Okay, moving into the notebook, I have a couple of inserts in here. Okay, so you can see here, it's very simple, the inside of this notebook. There are 2 elastic bands through which you can insert your notebooks, wallets, whatever it is you want to put in here. But what I found is I really can only insert things in the longer elastic in here. This other one is so short. I don't know if you can tell. It's so short that nothing actually fits through this for me. So it's kind of pointless. And so I didn't realize this, but you definitely need the extra connecting bands that you can buy separately in order to use more inserts in here. So I had to get that as well, which I wasn't anticipating at first, but that's just a heads up there. And then wrapped around my inserts is this Traveler's Company cotton zip case. I got this because I knew I wanted to use this pocket everyday carry as my wallet as well. So I wanted to make this system as sustainable as possible, and I really wanted to encourage its use. And so I knew I wanted this to also be my wallet so that I genuinely am reaching for it every time I'm out. Before I got this, I was testing out using a pocket notebook in general in my life and seeing how that went. And so my first ever pocket notebook was this one by Clyde and Nemozine. It was a collaboration between these 2 brands. And it's just a spiral bound notebook. But what I found was that I wasn't really reaching for this much. And I think a big reason why is because this was just a separate notebook and I had to keep transferring it between purses. It was one more item that I had to be aware of and add to my bags. And I do switch bags occasionally. So I don't know, it was just that little bit of friction that made me not reach for it as much. So I wanted to make it as simple and easy as possible for myself, which is why I just made it an all-in-one system now for me, where this has my wallet, so I'm definitely always gonna have it on me. And that has made a big difference. I do use this much more. The other thing is just the form factor of it. I found that this spiral notebook was not comfortable to write with because there's not a lot of space for my hand. And this is an A7 size notebook, but this is really, what fits in a lot of my purses. I can't go past this size, honestly. So I knew I wanted something that's still this small, but that was more comfortable for my hand to rest on as I'm writing. And I think the fact that the Passport TN actually opens up fully like this, it's a lot more comfortable for me to write in. So that was just one other factor that made me switch to the TN. Okay, as I was saying, this cotton zip case acts as my wallet. It's really handy, honestly. I really like this. I don't need much more than this for my wallet because I'm not someone that likes to carry around a lot of things with me. I don't have a lot of cards that I need to keep with me either. It's really just like my credit card and my license, and that's it. So these work really well for me, these two pockets here. And then in the back, there's a zipper pocket as well. So this fits everything I need. It's nice and slim. And I also like that it kind of acts as more protection to my inserts. So I really know that these aren't going to get super beat up, especially because I keep my passport in here as well. That is another huge plus of using the Travelers Company passport size notebook. It literally fits a passport perfectly. So I find that really helpful because this is also what I'm going to be using as my wallet when I travel. This is working really well for me. I like how slim this cotton case is. It's a little stiff, but honestly, that's kind of nice. It feels more durable and protective. Then I have my insert, which this is a Serica Studio insert. I had always been wanting to try her inserts. It's basically just a plain grid insert. And what I really like about the Serica Studio insert is the grid is very subtle. I don't like super dark grids, so this is perfect. The paper is super thin. I believe it's Tomoe River paper. Overall, this insert is really nice. You can see here, it says 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. She has some B grade notebooks for sale. So this is a B grade. It's basically a discounted price for slight imperfections. And I don't even notice what the imperfections are, honestly. So I would recommend that if you're looking for something even more discounted. But these are great inserts. Really happy with them. I don't use fountain pen in here, so I can't speak to how it holds up to that. I use my Sharpie S Gel in a 0.5 weight. Now let's get into the actual notebook and how I've been using it. So the first 12 pages of this insert act as monthly calendars for me, or monthly overviews, I guess. So what I did was I bought a mini calendar sticker set from Serica Studio as well as I was placing this order. And I just added them to the top corners of the first 12 pages because I knew I wanted this book to be a quick reference for me while I'm out. You know, if I have to make appointments or anything like that, I want to be able to see what I already have planned in the month and what's coming up. So frequently I forget what's coming up. Like, what are my weekend plans? I can just quickly come in here and reference my upcoming events. Or if I make plans while I'm out, I can come in here and jot them down because I reference this calendar view really frequently now. So all I do is I just, in a very simple list format, I write the date and what the event is or what's going on that day. And that's a theme in here. I'm keeping it extremely simple, extremely pared down. There's no decoration in this notebook whatsoever. It's just pure writing with this pen. It's purely a functional space for me. So yeah, I blocked off the first 12 pages for my calendars. I still have to fill out a few things coming up in June. And then I have the rest of these months already sectioned off. Okay, now I've zoomed you in a little more. But how I use this notebook is it's basically a catch-all for everything. There are no rules. Again, I want to make it as frictionless and easy as possible. It's just meant to be like messy notes. It's meant to be whatever I need it to be. So that includes things like this, a wish list, something that I would have to reference long term, or, you know, YouTube notes. I was planning out some video ideas, grocery list. This is notes from a podcast I was listening to while I was out. Song lyrics that have been stuck in my head. These are inks that are working in my cousin. So it's literally, you can see, like, it is an all-purpose notebook for me. And these are all things that I didn't have a place for before, really, because, you know, my main notebook outside of this is my Hobonichi cousin, and that's just my journal. And so I don't write these kinds of things in my journal. And that book is huge. It's not portable. It's, you know, it's a more reflective practice at home at my desk. But I didn't have something kind of portable and scrappy like this for me to be able to jot down quick things. This is another really great purpose for this book, is travel itineraries. When I had to go to San Francisco earlier in May, I wrote down like my plans every single day, and I referenced this while I was there, and it was really helpful for me. This was a checklist I made before my trip of all of the things I had to do at home before leaving. Then I got sick. I went to the doctor. I had this on me to take notes of what I discussed with my doctor. Amazon list. I bought some new pens at Barnes & Noble, so I was just testing them out in here. Groceries again, to-dos when I get home. Here, after the gym, I was waiting in the car for my husband, and I just wrote a quick poem while I was there. And that was really nice too. I found this to be a really nice space for creative thinking as well. And it's inspiring me to do quick poetry more often. This was from my workout yesterday. I was getting some tips from one of my friends at the gym, and so I just wanted to make sure I captured his recommendations. And then I was planning out meals for the weekend. Here I'm just planning out upcoming videos. Amazon list. So as you can see, this really comes in handy for me, and I can't believe that I didn't have a space like this before. I don't know how I was functioning without this before. Okay, so that's kind of what I've been using this notebook for. I think it's really important to mention my tagging system as well, because as this notebook fills out, if I didn't have a clear way of labeling what needs to be referenced versus what is just notes, I think it would be really easy for the important information to just get lost in here, because I'm just using black ink. There's no other visual cues really. So I knew I had to create some kind of labeling, tagging system in here that would make it really easy for me to identify what I need to keep referencing over time and what I didn't. So let's go into my tagging system. Basically, there are two forms of information in here that I will need to reference over time: long-term reference and short-term reference. So an example of a long-term reference would be a wish list. This wish list is for the rest of the year or potentially future years as well. So it's something that I need to keep referencing in the long term. And so for that type of information, I'm tagging it with a bronze star, and I purposely put it on the top right corner because as I'm flipping through the pages, the most visible part of the notebook for me is the top right corner. And so that'll really clearly alert my brain. If I see something shiny, if I see a bronze star, that is a page that I need to reference in the long term. It's an important page. So that's just my really simple way of designating those pages as important to reference. For more short-term things, I needed something else, and I didn't want to rely on stickers too often. I felt okay using this bronze star for the long-term reference because I think those type of entries will be very, very rare in here. So I very rarely will have to take out a sticker to use for that. But to make it as easy as possible for myself, I wanted to think of something that I could do with just my pen to indicate the short-term reference items. So what I came up with was this. If there is something that I need to reference in the short term, so for example, my upcoming meals for this weekend, I just circle it with my pen. And to me, an open circle is really obvious on the page. It's the first thing my eye goes to. So again, as I'm flipping through this, I can really clearly, quickly see when there's an open circle. Like here, I can see that there are 2 items from Amazon that I still haven't gotten because these are still open circles. So that's really helpful for me to quickly identify the things that I need to be looking out for in the immediate term. And once those things are done or accomplished, then I will X them out. So you'll see here, like the to-dos for when I got home on the 10th. I did all of these things, so I X'd this out, and that way I know that I don't have to reference this anymore. So really, when I'm flipping through here, I'm just looking for open circles. And the ones with X's in them are not obvious to my brain to look for, which is perfect. So that's it. It's a very simple system, but I wanted to keep it simple because it needs to be sustainable. If I'm literally using this like on the go, really quickly writing down scratch notes, I needed something that was easy for me in terms of tagging. And I think this simple thing of open circles works perfectly for me. And what I do for my long-term tagging, these bronze stickers, I actually just keep it in my wallet insert. So over here, I have a little cutout of more stickers so that if I do end up creating another list that I need for the long term, I can just quickly tag it with one of these. And yeah, it's super easy, really sustainable. I'm making it as simple for myself as possible to actually get the most use out of this system. And so far, I'm loving it. I'm finding it so helpful. And you can see, like, my handwriting is really messy in here. I truly do not care about aesthetics at all in here. And it's really nice to have a space like that, because all of my other journals and notebooks, I am very intentional about how they look and how I compose the pages, because it's a creative practice for me. But I never really had a purely utilitarian notebook like this, and it's felt really freeing, honestly. I love that I now have a space for anything and everything that I need to jot down and for scratch notes. And yeah, it's just complete chicken scratch in here, and I love to see it. I'm totally okay with that. So it's been really freeing as well. I will say it was an adjustment for me because I've never had a pocket notebook before. It took me a while to get in the practice of using this and reaching for it. And that's why you can see there's so few pages filled, really. And it's also because I'm jotting down shorter notes whenever I'm in here, so it just doesn't take up a lot of space. But yeah, it was definitely an adjustment for me to really start using this and rewiring my brain to reach for this. I think now I'm finally at a place where it is the default thing that I reach for when I'm out and when I'm just trying to occupy my time. So that is my pocket notebook. I'm looking forward to how this evolves over time. I have a trip coming up at the end of June, and this is the notebook I'm primarily going to use during my travels. So this will also become kind of a travel journal for me. What I'm planning to do is, first of all, write out my full itinerary in here so that it's a really easy reference for me every day when I'm traveling to know what I'm doing that day, you know, what activities we have booked, where there's a time commitment to it, any important addresses that I need to remember. It's going to be really helpful for traveling, I can already tell. So I'll write out my full itinerary with all of the details, flight numbers, all of that. And then I'm also planning, like during my trip, to use this as a log of what I did each day. And that way it'll be really easy for me to backfill my journal once I'm back home. So, whether that's a bulleted list or jotting down observations through the day as I'm out and about, I think it'll be really, really helpful. And I've mentioned this before, but when I'm traveling, I don't do long form journaling because I just like to be fully present where I'm at. And so at least I'll have this space for more short form journaling. If I get some time at a cafe or something, I really like that I have this on me now for occasions like that. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to share about this notebook. It still feels like a very new addition to my life. It's only been about 2 months since I've been using this. So I'm certain the way that I use it will grow and evolve over time. And as that changes, I will of course share with you. But I'm really happy with the system that I've developed so far with this. The tagging system works really well for me. I'm so glad that I finally have this space. And I have found that it has fulfilled both of the needs that I had when I first got this. It has helped me become more mindful when I'm out. I don't reach for my phone really anymore. I reach for this first. And it has helped me stay more organized and on top of things and remember things that I need to get done or that I need to reference later on. It helps keep me on track. And the physical practice of writing things down always helps me retain information much better than typing on my phone. So overall, this has been such a great addition to my life. Highly recommend the Traveler's Notebook passport size. It's very comfortable to write in, which I've mentioned before is I prefer to use Traveler's Notebooks for short form note-taking rather than long form journaling. And that is definitely the case with this one as well. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this video helpful or interesting. I would love to know if you also have an everyday carry in your life. What is it and how do you use it? I'm so curious. I love seeing pocket notebook videos as well because there's just so many great ideas out there. So definitely let me know in the comments if you have something similar in your life. That is everything I wanted to share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.